going to learn about how to get data into Excel, and majorly there are three ways. One is manual, where you actually enter the data into Excel directly, and most of the times this manual exercise is very short. However, if you are doing it for a very long time, or you are entering a lot of numbers, that doesn't make sense in today's data driven era. We are not going to cover how to get data into Excel manually, because this is something that's very simple and straightforward. The other way to get the data into Excel is from automation or different systems. For example, if you're downloading a data from a retail system where you get the details about the sales, the transactions that happen during the day, in this method of getting the data into Excel, it's not something that you actually do, it is something that you get. So that is also something that we are not going to cover, because this is part of the exercises that you will get. So you will get pre-filled Excel sheets, mini tasks that you will perform. So this will not make sense to cover in a video. However, we are going to cover the tasks where you actually import the data from various files. Specifically, we are going to cover 4 different types of files, including getting the data from an image, JSON files, text files, etc. Right? So let's look at one example of image. So let me copy this text and paste it as a picture. If you go to home and paste it, you will have the option of paste as picture. You can paste it like this, so it becomes an image, right? And now you can copy it, and let's move it here. Let's click here, and then you go to your data tab, and then do picture from clipboard, and you would see that your data is shown, which is extracted from the picture that we have clicked. Okay, now it is telling us that you need to review this data. So the first one is manual, right, which is correctly interpreted, and then we have automation and system, which is also correctly interpreted, and then we have import from various files, which is again correct, and we accept it. And now I can go ahead and insert the data, and you will see that exactly what has been mentioned in the picture has been inserted into Excel. Quick note that when you are importing from picture, it's not necessary that you will get 100% results always, right? There are other generative AI options that will work better than Excel's inbuilt from picture option, but this is something that you need to know in order to do simple tasks where you have your data visibly clear and easy to structure. Let me delete all this, and let's go to another tab. Let's make it bigger, and now we'll get the data from Power Query. Okay, now let's go to the get data option, where you have all of these options. So you can import the data from a database, which will be a query, right, from HTML pages, from text, from SQL Server directly. So from database and from SQL Server ODBC, these are different, because from database uses ODBC connection to any database. We will look at these kind of connections in other courses, but for this we actually do not need to get the data from any other database. So from SQL Server, so this is a directly inbuilt function where you can get the server name, database, authentication, and everything. So you can get the data from the database. Right. Obviously, you will have to choose your schema and tables in order to get the data. But let's see, get data from using Power Query directly. Okay. In a Power Query, you will have all of these options. So you can get the data from another Excel workbook. You can get the data from text or CSV file, XML file, JSON files. You can use a blank query or a blank table, or you can use OData to get the data from a feed, or you can get the data from SharePoint online list. What we are going to cover in this specific video will be text, CSV, XML, and JSON. So let's start with JSON. I'll browse it. So sample data is something that I have created, and I can click on get data after choosing this file, and then I'll have to click on next. And you would see that in JSON, whatever file that we have, it's broken down into 5 individual records. So now when we have parsed the JSON file into records, and after that we have converted it into a table, you will see that there is not any change or visible change to the records, right? Because Excel has not expanded these records into different columns, right? In JSON formatting, we may have values for some columns, we may not have values for some other columns. So it is important that when you expand it using this double arrow symbol, you would have to select exactly how many columns do you need from the data, right? And once you click on this, or you have selected all the columns that you need, you have to click on OK, and there you go. So this is the exact data that we have in the JSON file. And I can now click on close and load, and basically the data will appear in the Excel file. The important point is this is shown as a table, right? So that means if there is any change that I would do in the file, let's open it. Okay, and let's change this age to 38, and I save it, and I go back to file, and I click on the data and then right click and then refresh. You would see that 28 became 38. So whatever changes that will happen in your original file will reflect on your Excel as well. Okay, now let's go to another file and get it using Power Query. Let's get the data using text and CSV. I'll browse, and I have the CSV option here. I go next, and you would see the exact same data was also saved as a CSV file. Now there are a lot of things that we can do here. Okay, for example, I can change the delimiter if it is not a CSV file in essence, but it is a text file. Okay, I can choose to see if I want to, I can choose the number of rows that I want to see. Okay, I can change the file origin. You would see that CSV can be saved in different formats, but the default one is the one that you would normally choose. Okay, now there is another option here which is transform data and then load. So when you click on load, the entire data will exactly fill in the Excel sheet. But if you click on transform data, you have options to basically change anything that you want, right? So how the Power Query editor works is, and this is just a general introduction because Power Query is not something that we are actually covering in the course. This Power Query is actually meant for Power BI as of now. We will cover Power Query editor in the Power BI course in depth, and this is just for introduction so that you know that there are things that you can do using Power Query editor, right? And you would also see that the previous queries also show here, which is the JSON, right? And now I click on sample data. You would see that there are majorly 4 portions of this Power Query editor. On the left hand side, you would see all the queries that you have generated using Power Query editor. So all the data imports that you're going to do. In the middle, you would see the actual data preview. That is direct result of the actions which are on the right hand side. So you would see here we have selected the source, and then we have promoted the headers. So if you click on source, you would see the ID, name, email, city, all of these are actually values or shown as values. In the second step, we are promoting these values to actual column names, and then we are changing the column type, right? So this ID is numeric, this name is text. So like if I click here, okay, I have the option to change the formatting as well. So I can click text here, and replace current, right? So why did I do that? Because the IDs in general are in numbers, but they are actually textual format. Okay, and now you have other options, such as you can get the data, more data within this Power Query editor. You can refresh the data. You can use this advanced editor for querying the data as well, where you have the actual code that is used in order to read the data. You would see that all the three steps that I showed you are here. So this is the source, promoted headers, change column type, and so on, right? I click on OK. So if I want to change delimiters and everything, I can do it there as well. The transform tab has other options which will help you to transform the data. So you can pivot the data, you can split the columns. So for example, if I click here and I choose to split it by a delimiter, and I choose a custom delimiter which is at, I can click on OK, and this will basically change it to two different columns, email 1 and email 2, which are delimited by at. Okay, now how do I undo it? I can simply choose to delete this split column step that I did, and it will revert it back. I can choose to delete any step that I want, but keep in mind that any step that you are going to delete, if it has a dependency on the final data, your data will change, right? You also have the option to create data models here, so mark it as key. So basically it becomes a primary or a foreign key for in this table. You can unpivot, you can move the columns from left to right and so on, right? Add a column, it helps you to add a custom column to the data. So let's say if I add a custom column, right, and say I name it test, and I say it's going to be double the age. I click on OK. You will see that a new column has been added, which is exactly 2 times the age. I can duplicate the column if I need to. I can index the column. So like this. So indexing means that anything which is smallest will become 0 and 1, 2, 3 and so on. So you index the column, and it helps you to basically sort or do other operations of that sort. Conditional column, so if you want to add a condition which will help you to get the final data or custom data, you can also do that. Obviously you have the option of formatting. So let's say I click the name and I format to uppercase, you will get it. Okay, obviously it has created a separate column for the name, but you can choose to remove this column like this. Okay, and it will become a step. So let me remove this step, let me remove this step, and this step. Okay, so we are back to the original format. Now view will help you to view the schemas, the models that you have created, if you want to go to a certain column, if you have a lot of columns, right, and so on. Now let's go back to home, and I will do a close and load, which will help me to get the data like this. Now exactly what happened earlier, so it has given me the data in the Excel sheet, which is looking exactly similar to what we did in the JSON file. So if you look at here and if you look at here, almost same, except this 28 which we converted to 38 in the JSON format. Now let's get back to data, and let's use this from HTML, and we have an HTML file which is again sample data, and you would see the HTML was directly passed and it was inserted into the Excel. Okay, mind you that getting the data from HTML did not create a table. That's the point number 1. Point number 2 is it got the data into a separate Excel sheet instead of the same Excel sheet, right? So all of this keep in mind when you are trying to get the data from different sources and all, how the data is coming, whether it is a table or not, whether it's creating a different tab or different sheet, whether it is creating a different sheet or a different file altogether, and how you are going to manage it if you want to use the same method for automation purposes. That's it for getting data into Excel. Thank you.